got a heavyweight fight tonight. Two of the NBA's best physical teams.
Can you be strong enough, tough enough, right? And they're going to find out today. Harris goes to he's a body hunter. Cunningham, the cookie. Good look pushing that.
Definitely was physical. They tried to play a booty ball, and I think this is the reason they're first seed.
Poke the bear. Bear might come out.
To the rack. Blocked by Wembanyama. Unbelievable. Castle got a tray. Wemby for three. Bullseye. Out to Castle. Love it up top.
That one took the air out of the building right there.
Welcome to NBA Today with Malika Andrews, live from Los Angeles.
Oh, we got a good one. It's only February, but last night's Spurs-Pistons game, I don't know about you guys. It had a little playoff feel, some physicality to it. I would be happy to see 7 games of this come June. In fact, why not relive it right now? Let's go to Detroit and pick this one up, Brian. Late in the first quarter, Ron Holland shoots in the corner. See, Wemby, he just makes you rethink all your decisions.
You want to stretch the floor with him, but he can be in the paint and at the line at the same time.
Yo, Tobias Harris turning back the clock over Julian Champagny there. One hand, nasty jam, and the Detroit bench is... Did he cut the sleeves off his warm-up? What happened there? And then Cade Cunningham has to return the favor here, Mark. Showing his prowess.
He needs help.
Two-way there. Under 4 minutes left in the second quarter. Cunningham shoving Stephon Castle to the ground and standing over him. Then Keldon Johnson pushes Cunningham away. Jalen Duren stepping in. Getting chippy.
Get in the fight with the Pistons, Spears.
Yeah.
You don't want to do with that.
Where was Stu at watching this?
Coming down the hall.
Johnson, Duren received technicals. Cunningham with the offensive foul. And then Devin Vassell knocks down the three. The Spurs end the half with the lead. So to the third we go. 7 minutes left. Cunningham goes up. Wembanyama is right there to meet him. Fox gets the ball, pushes it up the court, swings it to Castle. Knocks down the corner three. Defense leading to offense for San Antonio, and Victor is loving it. A minute later, Vassell passes to Wembanyama. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Take that shot. What are you going to do? You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you got to call Ghostbusters, and even that won't work. Next play.
He's so nice. Plays both ways.
Cunningham here. Ooh. An all-star on all-star poster right there.
Jalen Duren's not afraid, I'll tell you that.
No.
Late in the fourth, Castle gets the ball, lobs it up to Wembanyama, ices the game. The Spurs go on to win this one, 114-103. Here's Victor Wembanyama on the Spurs' potential.
I don't think that's a night where we learn the most things about ourselves, but it's definitely a night where we confirm progression and confirm potential as well. But that was a good test.
Well, Monday.
Progression, confirm, potential. I like that.
It's a very Wemby phrase. And this is a very Wemby stat. San Antonio's 5th win against the team with the best record in the NBA. That's the most since Pat Riley's 92-93 Knicks, who also had 5. And you know, my friends, that it is a big day when Richard Jefferson makes his triumphant return to NBA Today. Rich, thank you for joining us. And you've called several Spurs games this year. You've been off all around the league. We have enough of a sample size now. They're stacking some impressive wins. What does this tell you about what they're ready to do in the postseason?
I think they're ready. I think they're still, it's that first postseason. It's that first, when you look at last year, OKC. You look at Denver, it had a couple of runs. Boston, it had a couple of runs before they got over the hump. I think this is that first year where, you know, when you play against Detroit in the regular season and they're on a road trip and coming off the All-Star break, you can catch them. But I think when you're playing in a 7-game series, you need experience. That's why we love the OKC matchup with them. They played OKC, I think, 3 times in a matter of 10 days.
Yeah.
That's what makes that fun, because it feels like the postseason. I think that they easily could have the best record, but I think that they're still a year away. Look at OKC last year, best record, or 2 years ago, best record. They get to the postseason, they realized they needed some bigs, they filled in the gaps, and then that's what helped them win the championship. Same with Boston. You get there one time, you win it the next. I feel like like this team, this San Antonio team has all the talent. They can get there. I think they can make a run, but I still think that their better version will be that follow-up year, which would be coming up next season.
Well, if you're tanking, you look at the Spurs and go, now we see what we're talking because this team has been built out incredibly through the draft these last few years, and they're coming into their own. I will say this, if they shoot the three-pointer like this, they'll win the title. Because their one weakness really is they're not a good three-point shooting team. They rank, I think they came into last night 23rd in three-point shooting. Last night they make 18 of them. You're not beating the Spurs when they make 18 threes. They shot 45%. That's just a real weapon that they don't usually have access to.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I'm going to say is, this is the thing. If you can't get Wemby out of the paint, you're going to have major, major problems because Jalen Duren, you know, he is a close-to-the-basket player. He's trying to get offensive rebounds. Time and time again, Wemby was in the paint defensively because he didn't have to leave it because of Duren.
Well, and J.B. Bickerstaff said after the game that he sort of feels like later in the fourth quarter, when interestingly Asar Thompson was on the bench, one of their better defenders, he said he felt like maybe they figured something out. They play again in a couple of days, so we're going to get to see if that's true. But the problem, Mark, is, yes, Victor Wembanyama is the head of the snake, but they have so perfectly built this team, this young team around him.
Yeah, there's certainly strength in numbers in this team. I know Wemby's the star. He definitely needs to be the head of the marquee. But they got 8 guys averaging 10 points a game. De'Aaron Fox, Vassell, like Castle. You got a guy with a championship, Harrison Barnes, making big shots in the corner. Harper's been an amazing rookie. Like, how do you guard them? This is like better than the Richard Jefferson Spurs, right? Like, there's just so much talent.
A lot better.
And
mostly because there's no Richard.
I know the threes are a concern, but I don't know if there's another team in the league that has that many guys that can get a bucket.
Yeah.
Keldon Johnson.
What we're not going to do, right, it is one game. But when you start looking at the collection that the Spurs are starting to put together, it's very hard to ignore. On the other hand, the Pistons, they struggled offensively. Stephon Castle, you mentioned him. I mean, he locked Cade Cunningham up.
He's locking everybody
game,
up.
Right? Cade shot 5 for 26 from the field in this one. He made just 1 of his 15 attempts in the second half. That amounts to the worst field goal percentage by any player to take 25 or more shots in a game since Donovan Mitchell, and that was back in 2018. And the Pistons have a tough schedule coming up. We mentioned that rematch against the Spurs, but they also host the Thunder on Wednesday, the Cavaliers on Friday. You can catch both of those on ESPN. And then they play their next 3 games on the road, the Magic, the Cavaliers, and then the Spurs. Richard, by your logic, you're saying teams, they need a year. Well, the Pistons, they kind of did that, right? Last year, they shocked everyone. They made it to the playoffs. They lost in a tough 6-game battle. Do you think that they are that team now, that they can take that next step? Because everyone's looking at them saying, all right, you're the top dog in the East.
Well, this is the year before the year.
But they did that last year, no?
No. Last year, getting to the postseason. No, that's the pre. No. They did a great job. They got to the 7. They got to experience, right? But that's still not a playoff run. That's not like, hey, we've done it. Kind of even you look at, it's a taste. It's like, okay, we understand this. Now they showed up the next year and they jumped to number 1. Think when Golden State lost in 7 against the Clippers, and then the next year they started off and they were on top all year long, and that really started the dynasty. But that loss in 7 was them still figuring it out. I think that's what happened exactly with their loss to the Knicks. They could have easily won that Knicks series if not for a couple plays, couple possessions. So I look at the same way with the Pistons. They are now announcing that they are a formidable monster, not a perennial playoff team, but they have the ability to be a monster. But everyone on this panel would probably agree that they need a little bit more. Cade needs a little bit more help. Even if you look at the shortest odds here on the Sports Playbook, it's because they need more help. They need a secondary scorer. Duren's outstanding, an all-star big. But if you don't have another scorer next to Cade to win 4 playoff games against the best of the best, that's where they don't have enough. You can have the best record and not have the best playoff quality team.
Yeah, you often see people like us sit up here and say, well, there's a difference between the playoffs and the regular season. Well, what do we mean by that? Well, what we mean is in a playoff setting, the entire game plan will be set against Cade Cunningham. And last night it was with a great defense, and he had a bad night. Like, he is going to hit some of the shots.
Sure.
But part of what he was dealing with there was they were standing on his toes. Stephon Castle was standing on his toes, and he had a great backline defense if he got past him. So they're going to have to learn how to deal with the counters. And they are a team that has shooting trouble, too. By the way, this will be the case for the Spurs. When the Spurs get in the postseason, teams will not guard Steph Castle, and they'll say, go ahead and try to make your threes, and maybe you will, maybe you won't. They'll have to deal with the same situation. But part of what we say is that we know that when you get to win 3 playoff series, get to the finals, you have to overcome all of those individualized game plans. And they just have to prove that they can do it. Could they? Sure they could, but they haven't proven it yet. I think it's a fair assessment.
You know, when I look at the Cavs, New York, Boston, assuming Tatum is there, Philly, they all got a second guy, a third guy.
Offensively,
Detroit, I mean, respect to Duren, they don't really have it. Tobias Harris is there. But to your point, Brian, come playoff time, and all I got to worry about is this series. They're going to be ready for him.
Yeah.
And one thing I think the Pistons, maybe Trey John's kicking himself a little bit, is they didn't go get that other dog that could come in there and get you 30. Yeah.
Well, they got Kevin Huerter trying to deal with the three-point shooting.
But he wasn't out there for this one.
I'm talking about dogs.
Well, and as Richard always likes to remind me, in the playoffs, the scouting report goes from about this thick to this thick for the playoffs, and so things get a little bit different. Hey, coming up here on NBA Today, we had a good one last night. We got another epic battle coming tonight. The Knicks and the Cavaliers. We're going to get you set for the clash in Cleveland and pose the question, which team is better equipped to take the East? Plus, the latest on the WNBA negotiations, what happened in Monday's collective bargaining meeting, and why the start of the season, it could be in jeopardy if a new marker isn't met by early March. And after these last 2 weeks, should Darren Peterson still be in the conversation for the top pick come June? Our insiders, they've been working the phones to find out what NBA GMs are thinking. You're watching NBA Today. Keyword once, tanking. So let's take a look at the bottom of the standings. But hey, look at the Kings. They won their first game since January the 16th on Monday. They ended a franchise-worst 16-game losing streak. Sacramento now has the worst record in the NBA. One of the teams that's trying to get that top pick in a loaded 2026 draft class. So let's check in here. Scouts definitely watching the projected top pick, Darren Peterson, last night. The Jayhawks took on the 5th-ranked Houston at the Fog here. We're going to pick this one up early. Peterson misses. Flemings gets the board. Going the other way. Watch him navigate through traffic here. Slices, dices, finishes with the jam. Flemings had 16 points. Houston up 7. And in the final seconds of the first half here, Kansas up 2. Peterson drives. Gets a nice little floater to go. Kansas enters the half up 4. And then a little over 3 minutes left here. Kansas up 13. Melvin Council Jr. finds Peterson in the corner. Peterson had 14 points in this one, and Kansas gets the win. And now we are joined by our senior college basketball writer, Myron Metcalf, who, by the way, is making his NBA Today debut. And recently, you spent a little bit of time, right, with Darren Peterson for a piece that's live right now on ESPN.com. But Myron, Peterson's availability, it's been a huge storyline this season. From what you learned, how fair is the criticism that's surrounding him right now?
Well, he says it's completely unfair. I mean, he said he's been a competitor his entire life. This is the first time this narrative has been something he's had to deal with. And he hears it all, but he doesn't think it really describes who he is as a player. At the same time, when you're a projected #1 pick, people want to see you out there playing, and he hasn't been consistent. I think that's why the frustration is coming out from Bill Self and others who are saying the time is now for you to prove who you are at the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And show scouts, show teams, show fans who you are now and who you can be at the next level. Let's hear from Darren. He hasn't spoken a lot after games this season, but he did. This is what he had to say after last night's win.
How do you go about keeping your own little bubble?
I don't know. I've kind of been a antisocial loner my whole life, kind of, so I kind of just deal with it on my own.
All right, Richard and Mark are going to join us here as well. Richard, you played 84 games right over your 3 seasons at Arizona. So from a player's perspective here, how much of this criticism feels warranted to you?
Well, I think it's tough because the nature of basketball now is that he's a freshman. So there's things that he's navigating as a freshman. So we're like, we never see him play. It's like, this is a small sample size. I broke my foot in college. I missed 20 games. These things happen. I think some of the management, and I think a lot of times people are looking at, is it a load management? Is it his team is telling him, don't play unless you're 100%? Make sure that if you're still nursing back, you put yourself on a minute restriction. That happens in the NBA right now. It's like hey, you're the number one pick. The only place you can go is down. So let's make sure that you're playing at 100%, that you're able to go. And so that's one of the things that I think could be going into this calculation. But the last thing I'll say is this. The number one pick in the NBA draft is a place that that person's supposed to be a franchise leader, a person you can build around. It's not just you're the ultra talented. It's are you marketable? Can you be the face of the franchise? Can you do so many things? And so if you start to see inconsistencies in someone, if you're the number 3 pick, that's not the worst. If you're the number 4 pick, it's not the worst.
Sure.
But just to say that this has not impacted whether he is the number 1 player in the draft, 100%, because everything goes into that calculation. Talent-wise, I can see him be the number 1 pick, but talent isn't the only thing they evaluate.
Yeah, and I'm sensitive to the fact that we're asking about the criticism that he's faced and whether or not it's warranted, and then saying, okay, well, these are maybe more criticisms that we have, but it's not us, right, that is the most important when we talk about this. Mark, it's the scouts, it's the executives, it's folks around the league, it's their opinion that determines where you go in the lottery. What are you hearing from the NBA side of things, how they're viewing Darren Peterson here?
Before I get to that, because they still love him.
Okay.
Ryan Bernardi, the coach of Prolific Prep, he allowed me to go into the film room with Darren last year. Darren sat in the front middle. He watched intently. He gave a great report on Kiyan Anthony. And then afterwards, I was able to interview him. He's a very introverted kid, doesn't like to talk a lot. I felt lucky to get the interview. He's very, very quiet. But he certainly was locked in and was a good leader to this team. And I heard that at the beginning of the season, he was having a lot of cramping issues, very tough cramps. He's also had the ankle injury. He's been sick. This kid's been taking pickle juice, drinking it at night, getting other fluids, trying to do everything. And somebody closer to me told him if he didn't want to be there, he could easily get a buyout from Kansas, come here to L.A., Malika, work out with the Wasserman Group, and because he's getting money from a trading card company, he's getting money from Adidas. So he's got money. So he's fighting it out, trying to play, trying to do the best he can. But he certainly is not trying to quit this team. But talking to a general manager, they seem to keep saying to me that he's the number 1 pick. Wilson and A.J. Debinsa next. But he's a 3-tier scorer. He's a superstar at the 2 position. They think he's an elite player. And obviously the injuries give concern. But if this is just a season that he's going through with these cramping issues and teams think they could get past that, I expect him to be the number 1 pick.
So, Myron, what is, you mentioned what Bill Self is saying. What is he saying he wants to see the rest of the year in order for him to come to fruition as the number 1 pick?
He wants to see them lead. He wants to see him be more than just a talented star. We know that he is. He wants to see him be a playmaker with this team. The bottom line is they just don't have a ton of chemistry because they haven't been on the floor together enough this season with the games that Darren Peterson has missed. One of the things that wasn't in my story, though, is Darren said, listen, people forget that I'm just a freshman and I'm young and I'm trying to figure it out. So I do think there's an element of this where he does feel the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he's trying to figure out why everyone's kind of against him for the first time in his life. At the same time, he could end the narrative if he just came out and said, this is what's happening. I want to play. My body's responding this way, and it's just not working out the way I expected. Not talking a lot is not helping his cause.
Well, and that's the thing. Once you start getting paid, the grace starts to go down even more. The even fact that Mark will have that conversation of like, well, he could just go to L.A. and he could just go do that. That, to me, impacts the mentality of a player. So that's a great thing that that's not on the table. But I just really believe that this kid is super talented and he has to prove it. But always beware when there's, oh, yeah, we love him at number 1. Don't forget that Boston traded the number 1 pick and moved down to get Jason Tatum because he was their number 1. So always be weary when every GM is like, oh, yeah, that kid's number 1. He's number 1. Yeah, I think we might be 2 or 3. He's number 1. That's the kid. They take him at number 1 because they have somebody number 1 on their list. If Utah Jazz got the number 1 pick, I don't think they're they're picking him.
Well, especially when you have a BYU kid that maybe is. But it's an incredibly stacked 2026 draft. Myron, your story is fantastic. I encourage everyone to go check it out right now on ESPN.com. We appreciate the time. Hey, coming up, speaking of number one pick mentality, Wemby and the Spurs. Cavaliers, they host the Knicks in a matchup of the NBA's top two teams over the last month. For the Knicks, Karl-Anthony Towns has been on a tear. He scored at least 20 points in 5 straight games for the first time this season. He's shooting 48% on three-pointers in that span. As for the Cavaliers, 6-1 record. They lead the NBA in offensive efficiency since trading for Mr. James Harden. The 36-year-old, he's averaging nearly 19 points, 9 assists in 6 games for Cleveland. But will that be enough to get the Cavs the win? Because after sweeping the Knicks last season, the Cavaliers, they've lost both games against the Knicks this year. Both of those were at MSG, though. And the Cavaliers, they are at home tonight. So, Rich, if you were on the call for this game, and you've been on a lot of Cavs games, you've been on a lot of Knicks games, what would you be telling the audience, this is what I am going to be looking for in this one?
I would look for Cavs and how their continuity continues to increase.
Okay.
They have a tremendous amount of offense. And it's all coming together. But this is also a team that has struggled with playoff consistency. So now you're at a point where, okay, we bring in a superstar, but one of the things that James Harden has struggled with during his Hall of Fame career is consistency at the highest moments.
So, but look at his field goal percentage. It's like close to 50. Look at that amazing three-point percentage. And, you know, Donovan Mitchell's like, look, we don't need any divas. We're not divas together. I just want to play with another star for the first time in his career, so he's excited. Obviously, James not a diva by the way he's shooting. So I think this is growing into something pretty special.
What's the saying? Styles make fights. You have the number one offense versus the number one defense. You have a team in the Knicks that are very good at offensive rebounding, and a team in the Cavaliers that, strangely, even though they have 2 excellent big men, are not. And then you have a team that's very good at making corner threes and a team that is not good at all at defending corner threes. It feels like it's going to be a clash of styles. Who's going to win out? Yeah, so I think Harden has had instantaneous chemistry with Jared Allen, Sam Merrill. Yeah. They've had some really good stuff click. But, you know, it's not just Harden. They're playing 10 guys right now, and 3 of them are brand new. Yeah. They traded for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, too. That's kind of what Rich was saying. 30% of your rotation is brand new. So they're having a lot of time where they just need to get in the work together and figuring out what the lineups are. And even Evan Mobley, he's back from injury, but he's on a minute restriction. So they're really, in my view, they're kind of like in November. Like they're still like in the November mentality. They're going to have to rush it. But that said, they have been playing terrifically, even though they haven't played their best basketball. And yeah, they lost. 12:30 tips. Weird stuff happens. The wild OKC nightlife gets to you. They were down 28-5, and then they pretty much won the rest of the game by 15. I know it doesn't matter. It's still a loss. But, like, even that game, they took some positives out of it. So they have a tough week this week. Oklahoma City on Sunday. Tonight they obviously have the Knicks, and then Friday they have the game in Detroit. Right. So we're going to learn a lot about the Cavs. But more than anything, I think the Cavs are going to learn a lot about themselves as we go through this week. Yeah, you're saying the Cavaliers, they can't, as the kids say, act brand new, even though they are a brand new team. On the Knicks side of all of this, Richard, I mentioned the numbers for Karl-Anthony Towns. He really offensively everything has been clicking as of late. What do you want to see from him in this matchup when you do have those twin towers on the other side?
Well, that's what makes him unique. He's a stretch 5, so he's going to bring them around the basket. And what I think is Mike Brown told us a long time ago when he first took over that Karl-Anthony Towns was going to have a progression. In their offense, the 1 through 4 is kind of a set, and then the 5 is a different offensive kind of mindset. So he's like, I'm trying to teach him all this. And Karl-Anthony Towns, in my opinion, that's why we're seeing his numbers pick up now. He feels more comfortable. Like he's only shooting 37% from 3. He's normally around 40 plus. But in February, he's right at 39%. So it's like, okay, now he's starting to track and look more comfortable. So I want to see them consistently build on that. Then I just want to see that matchup versus the Twin Towers. Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA. That's what I want to see. How do you go up against those 2 trees? Speaking of, why the foliage? What are you sitting next to, Rich? Like, well, if I don't have foliage on my head, I need foliage around me. You need it somewhere. I need foliage around me. The Cavs will be on ESPN, our Friday doubleheader. They face the East leading Pistons, and then we have the Nuggets and Thunder.
Ernie, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq. Not a lot of head foliage there. They tip off our coverage. That's against Wemby and the Spurs, specifically Cade Cunningham here.
I am having a very bad day.
He had a bad day because what Stephon Castle was doing. Watch this defense here,
Right
Brian.
on Rice.
Swarming him. And then when you meet Victor Wembanyama in the middle, it's just not a good recipe for opponents here. Once again, Stephon Castle, a pest.
And he loves it. He loves all of this. He wants all the smoke.
Tried 2 screens there, and neither one of them worked.
Fought over the screen, and then once again, who's waiting for you? A 7'5" Victor Wembanyama in the middle. I saw our friend Worldwide Wob said that Victor causes the most. I don't think so. Over the course of the game, people changing their decisions, and then the physicality in this one, Brian.
And Cade is a huge, huge, strong dude. One of the strongest guards in the league, and he's having trouble there.
And then right here, forces the missed opportunity. We're going to pick this one up under 6 minutes left.
He gets over the screens.
Yeah,
look at two
screens there, and they didn't work, Spears.
No.
And once again,
like you said, Cade's nice.
Right there to meet him.
Again,
this dude's different, man, defensively.
Victor, if he doesn't have to leave the paint, he won't.
Victor Wembanyama wreaking all sorts of havoc. San Antonio gets the win in this one. And Wemby, he really made his presence felt, though, on both ends. The Frenchman, he now has 3 games with 20 points, 15 rebounds, 5 blocks this season. The rest of the NBA has 1. It's from Zach Edey. And then on the defensive end, the Pistons, they shot 12 for 31 when they were contested by Victor Wembanyama. Those 19 missed shots, by the way, contested by Victor, those are tied for the most in a game this season. So what were you saying about patrolling the paint? And then the Spurs, they've now won 9 straight. It's their longest winning streak since February. March of 2019 is since then. So each of their last 8 wins have come by double figures. That's tied for their second longest streak of double-digit wins. So, Richard, you spent 2 years in San Antonio. You understand that the standards, right, that they hold themselves to. I'm afraid to ask this, but are you seeing any similarities between this team and the Spurs teams of the past?
No, 100%. This is the exact same thing. This is the exact same system. If Pop was coaching, he would be doing exactly this. And so when I look at this team, Mitch Johnson took over and continued the exact same infrastructure that was already in place. They have a dominant superstar that allows himself to be coached the hardest. When you look at him winning Defensive Player of the Year, look at other Defensive Player of the Year centers and what they've had. They've had elite guards at the guard position. You look at Bruce Bowen. You look at Tony Allen when Marc Gasol won. You look at what Ben Wallace had around him. So when you have these great defensive centers, so when I see Castle is like, oh, I have that behind me. My defensive level can go even higher. They have a whole system in place right now that is really, it's growing. This isn't the best version of the Spurs, but when Tony Parker won a championship in his second year, he still got better over the next 5 or 6 years. So, like, that's the part where I think people are missing. You're seeing this and thinking it's a finished product. Can they do it now? Well, they have a lot of room for growth.
I see prickly pear margaritas in our future. They're 2.5 games behind. OKC, they're on their heels. They're playing great basketball. Watch out.
Watch out for the San Antonio Spurs. Hey, here's our ESPN Wednesday doubleheader. It's highlighted by 4 of the association's top teams. So we have the Pistons and the Thunder. We have the Celtics and the Nuggets. NBA Countdown, tipping off our coverage at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Autograph.
Oh, Connie.
Right? Nice little color match from Topps Chrome, number to 199.
Oh, that's tough.
On-card autograph, number to 25. You want them all?
I want them all, man.
$7 grand? Is that good?
$7 grand, huh?
I know.
Do I like Con that much? I don't know.
That's your boy. $7 grand. You're getting some of his best cards.
I like that. Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Teach him how to negotiate. Jeez, he was waiting for that
Anyone
offer.
else want to negotiate?
Sure.
All right. Brian, today is National Trading Card Day. Did you know that? Last August, a Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant card sold for just under $13 million, broke a record for the most ever paid.
That's a good item, Spears.
It wasn't just any card. 101 in this one. All right, so we thought we would play a little game here. Our producers did some extensive, and I mean a lot of research on trading cards and their card ladder, and they found the highest ever prices sold for some very specific cards. Our job is to guess, okay? Richard Jefferson, you're up first, my friend. What we're looking at here is a 2005 exquisite Vince Carter, heavy on the Vince Carter, a little bit of Richard Jefferson, logo man patch auto, 101. It was sold last April. Richard, for how much?
It's exquisite.
It's exquisite. Was it 11,000?
75 bucks, yeah. 75 bucks, and tell whoever bought it, I'll buy it back for them for 100.
For 100 bucks, is that your final answer? Is that your highest that you'd pay
final
for it?
Answer.
All right, was it $75 for this?
Oh!
Richard,
come on, man. Respect yourself.
Through your drawers.
Thank you, Vince Carter, for pushing that price up.
Thank you.
Mr. Windhurst, you had, we dug deep for this.
Wow.
Brian, your 2015 Allen & Ginter's framed mini red ink PSA 9 mint auto numbered 7 out of 10. It sold a year ago on eBay. For how much?
I wish it went for $900, Spears, but I think it probably went for 60.
Did it go for $67.25? Richard would buy it for 100.
Oh,
man.
Oh,
come on, man.
Guys, we were selling ourselves short.
I ain't got
right,
nothing.
Mark,
yes, you learned there, Richard.
We have a signed auto custom 2023 Hall of Fame card with the inscription. All right, this one sold on eBay 2 years ago. This is custom made.
Oh, $25.
220
They're
big
not
ones
do
for it.
wrong with 25.
Hey, 220 big ones. Do I hear 220?